Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 MyTeam career mode. This is part 48 here, the final episode of this series. If you did miss the last episode around Canada, we claimed victory by doing a last lap and a last corner overtake on Oscar Piastri to snatch that victory away from him. And crucially, Lando Norris had a DNF, which keeps Max Verstappen in this championship hunt coming into this final race. There is 31 points separating between them. And since it is a sprint race, that makes Max Verstappen mathematically still in contention. As now we take a look here at the performance chart. So McLaren are now well and truly the fastest car on the grid. It's very close between the Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes all packed there together. Aston Martin is starting to drop back after being a relatively fast car at the start of the season. They were consistently in the top 10s. And now ourselves and Alpine also running very closely together as now we get ourselves prepped for practice here. But just quickly having a look at the weather forecast, it is going to be a dry quali, a wet sprint, and then a dry race. So this weekend just got so much more interesting. A whole lot of strategy has to come in here. I reckon I'm still going to run a dry setup just because if I can qualify well, hopefully then I can defend in a wet sprint race, even if my car's not probably set up perfectly to the conditions, and then hopefully I'm also set nicely for the main Grand Prix. And so that's my thinking coming into this practice session, as now we head straight to our race strategy program, and we have absolutely nailed it. We're finding a lot of pace straight away. It's currently a Brabham 1-2 in practice at the moment as we set a purple practice objective there, and then once again on our second lap here for the tyre wear as well. They're absolutely nailing it, and still currently sitting P1, and our teammate currently still sitting P4, so it looks like both cars have plenty of pace here as we cross the line and complete another practice program here. So everything is pointing in the right direction as we currently sit P2 as now the session comes to an end. It is Lando Norris ahead of Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri. So P1 and P2 in the championship sit P1 and P2 here in practice 1. Myself P10 on the medium tyres, 7/10 of a second down, and Alex Albon P16, 1.1 seconds down. But remember, he was also on the medium tyres, so I reckon once we put on those soft compound tyres, we should be looking pretty speedy for both cars. So hopefully that can be a good sign of things to come, as now we have to get ourselves prepped for this qualifying program, and hopefully we can do so much better than we did in the Canadian Grand Prix for our qualifying. Now we come to the line and we go fastest to start off for this session, and now going on to a second push lap on this set of tyres as we're about to cross the line. It's a purple middle sector, a green first sector, and we cross the line to go faster once again, finding a couple more tenths, and that comes to the end of the session. Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and George Russell is your top 3. I had a 5-place grid penalty. One thing I did not manage to claim footage of was having to claim that grid penalty for changing components after a couple of worn out components I did not think were going to make it to the end. But both of us, myself and Alex Albon, making it through into Q2 as now we cross the line for our first lap here. It is going to be fastest once more. No purple sectors though, so I reckon there's definitely more time to be found here as we go a couple of hundreds more faster, setting another purple lap time here. So we're still sitting P1, and as the session comes to an end, it's going to be Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc. So the two title protagonists once again up the front. Myself P7. Unfortunately for our teammate Alex Albon, he must not have been able to get a fast lap in, because I don't think he was really that much far off everyone else. So I'm a bit surprised he's down all the way in at P16 and knocked down for ourselves. Currently sitting P2, so we've got to get a little bit of time to find here if we want to try and go for a pole position. We've gone out on another set of fresh Pirelli soft compound tyres, and we go fastest right at the end of the session as now we barely make it to the finish line here. 2 seconds to spare, probably more like 1.5 seconds to spare to start another flying lap here. Now, turns 1, turn 2 are pretty good. They're pretty on bar, but there's a slow Lando Norris in the way, and so that's really going to hamper us. And so I have to back out of the lap, and unfortunately, that's not going to cut it out for us on that final flying lap there. So Oscar Piastri claims pole position for the sprint race. Max Verstappen P2, and myself P3, and Lando Norris, the championship leader, P6. So his title rival starts P2.
Well, the weather is not looking good today. We're expecting the downpours to continue into today's sprint. This will make for some very tricky conditions for all the teams. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Oscar Piastri lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have the Rainmaster, Perez, Ocon, Norris, Leclerc, Sainz, Drugovich, Sonoda, Russell, Liam Lawson, Bottas, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Albon, Sargent, Iwasa, Joe, Magnussen, Stroll, and Nick de Vries. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. Well, it's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are three big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. And judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
Now, there wasn't really much of a strategy to talk about, so I've skipped that part, but we are going to be on the wet tyres all the way through. There wasn't really much else to do. It was wet tyres or wet tyres. Yeah, conditions are well and truly too far gone to possibly even consider an intermediate tyre, so just got to make do with these wet tyres as now the lights begin to illuminate up, and it is 5 lights and we're off. It's a very slow start from everyone around us as we all try to get over 1,000 horsepower down to the ground here in Brazil, and we go around the outside of Max Verstappen coming into turn 1, and we're going to get the position done here, which gives us the inside for turn 2 to make sure we really get the position down. Now it's time for us to try and put this power down and to try and chase after Oscar Piastri. He's already half a second up the road as he was unchallenged going into those first few corners. As now we take a look behind us, and Max Verstappen nearly lost it going down the straight as he was pulling out from behind us. And taking a look at the replay, he really did nearly lose it behind us, so trying to pull out of our slipstream. It's now back on board with us. Mark is telling us Max Verstappen's got an issue, so that is definitely not what Max Verstappen wants to be having when he's trying to go for another world championship here. This would be his 4th world title if he can claim it this weekend, as now his teammate Sergio Perez is looking to get by him by going around the outside of him at turn 4. Other 2 Red Bulls going to be able to get through this all cleanly. They still continue to go side by side. So now they come up through the hill, which is going to put them up to turn 6, and Sergio Perez is going to get that move done on Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen drops down the P4 with Lando Norris now behind him. Lando Norris is just going to drive by him coming down this front straightaway. And at the moment, Lando Norris will be your world champion, as Max Verstappen really needed everything to go wrong for Lando Norris to be able to lose this world championship. But Lando now being in front of Max Verstappen is pretty much guaranteeing a world championship title for Lando Norris here. Is on board with ourselves here. Logan Sargent is out of the Grand Prix here very early on, and that is going to bring out the safety car here in Brazil for the sprint race, which is going to allow us to catch right up to the back of Oscar Piastri, and he was hovering around about half a second in front of us. But you'll take note that we were also gapping the rest of the field. We had 5 seconds over everyone, and it was an engine failure for Logan Sargent, so very unfortunate for the American drivers. Now we do a bit of an order check under the safety car here. It is Oscar Piastri leading the way ahead of myself and Sergio Perez. We are the sprint podium at the moment. And then it's Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, the 2 title rivals going at it. Esteban Ocon, Carlos Sainz, and George Russell rounds out the points here for the sprint race. And Leclerc and Djokovic round out the top 10. Then it's Valtteri Bottas, Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, our teammate Alex Albon sitting in P14 at the moment. And then it's Pierre Gasly, Nico Hulkenberg, Zhou Guanyu, Ayumu Iwasa, Kevin Magnussen, and Nick de Vries in P20, and Stroll P21. Logan Sargent now out of the race. So Stroll last on the road at the moment. It's now we come back on board with ourselves, and it is the green flag, so it is race restart time. And we've had an absolute killer run coming down onto the main straight, but we've had to back out of it and to try and make sure that we don't pass them before the control line. And we've locked up the rears, trying to go for the move around the outside, and we're going to have to cut turn 2 here to make sure that we don't do a bad rejoin here and possibly cut off other people here. And so then as a result of that, we're going to lose positions to both Norris and Sergio Perez. So we drop down the P4. So we've got our work cut out to us. And now my goal is, rather than try and get the race win, I'll just want to get back to P2 here. It's now Esteban Ocon's looking to get by Max Verstappen as well. So he's really got some issues here if he's getting passed by Esteban Ocon as well. So that puts him now outside of the top 5 here, and now under threat from possibly Carlos Sainz in that Ferrari as well. So Ocon up to P4, Verstappen P6 here. Sorry, P5 for Ocon, as ourselves here in P4, where we've got a really good run coming onto Lando Norris here, and we're going to look for a move down into turn 10 here. It's a very difficult passing spot in the dry, let alone in the wet, and we get the move done very well. It's now coming down through turn 11. We get a bit of a snap of oversteer here, so the conditions very very much still very treacherous out here, as now closing up to the back of Sergio Perez. It's now lap 11, so we've got only a lap and a half to go here. We're going to be trying to go for a similar move here, but this time we're going to lock the rears, and so we're going to skid it in front of Sergio Perez to get the move done, and this time we're going to not receive any wheel spin going through turn 11, but coming to the line here, Oscar Piastri was just a bit too quick for us in that last part of the race, and so we have to settle.
The celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It might have looked simple at times, but as any race driver will tell you, competing at this level at the very top is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion.
And taking a look now at the race results, so Oscar Piastri, myself, and Sergio Perez was the podium for the sprint race. Lando Norris finishes P4 to claim the World Drivers' Championship. Lando Norris is a world champion. Esteban Ocon, Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen, and George Russell round out the points, with Charles Leclerc and Felipe Drugovich rounding out the top 10.
Formula One returns to Interlagos once again, with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his third championship here in 2012, and just 4 years later, Max Verstappen treated us to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil. It's a 2.7-mile circuit with 9 lefts and 6 rights, for a total of 15 corners. The fastest lap today should have an average speed of around 135 miles per hour, if, of course, the weather stays dry until the end of the Grand Prix. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Oscar Piastri lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Ocon, Verstappen, the Rainmaster, Russell, Leclerc, Drugovich, Bottas, Liam Lawson, Albon, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Iwasa, Sainz, Joe, De Vries, Stroll, Magnussen, Tsunoda, and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today.
And they can do it for sure, as long as they don't dwell too much on the position. At the end of the day, there's only one way to go racing, and that's to give it everything you've got. Either your best is good enough to stay in the hunt, or it's not. There's no point giving any less than 100%.
Now, this time, for the main Grand Prix, I've got a bit to talk about with our strategy. We're going to go for something very similar we did in Canada. So we're starting on the soft tyre, but we switched out the medium tyre in the second stint to go for the hard tyre, because initially the medium tyre was going to be very worn out by the end of this stint. So I brought the soft tyre stint forward by a lap or two, and to allow those hard tyres to really get used in the second half of the race. So hopefully we still have the pace on those hards. Again, so I'm presuming everyone else is going to go for the medium tyres. It's very rare you see the AI go from soft to hard tyres. So I'm going to put a safe bet on that they will go for the hard tyre in the the medium tyre in the second stint. So hopefully this car, really liking those hard tyres, will bring up that deficit, as now the lights are at 5 lights, and it is lights out and we're off. It's an ultra slow start for Sergio Perez, and he squeezes us all the way to the wall, but we still find our way through, as now we go down the inside here of Esteban Ocon. Is 3 wide up ahead between Verstappen, Piastri, and Norris. Norris comes out ahead of his teammate Oscar Piastri, and Max Verstappen slots into P3, ourselves into P4 here, as now we take a look a little bit further down the field, and the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc got himself past George Russell. As ourselves, we were defending there from Esteban Ocon, and you can see that we have defended quite well, as now Sergio Perez gets himself past Charles Leclerc. So the Red Bull's now up into P6, and ourselves stay in P4. Is now fast forwarding a few laps here. We're going to do a bit of an order check here. So it's McLaren 1-2 Norris from Oscar Piastri, the world champion, leading the Grand Prix at the moment. Max Verstappen rounds out the podium at the moment. Ourselves sitting P4, then it's Esteban Ocon, Sergio Perez, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Valtteri Bottas, and Felipe Drugovich sitting P10 at the moment. Our teammate Alex Albon sitting P11, then it's Pierre Gasly, Ayumi Iwasa, Liam Lawson, Zhou Guan Yu, Nico Hulkenberg, Stroll sitting P17, Nick De Vries, Kevin Magnussen, Carlos Sainz, Logan Sargent, and Yuki Tsunoda rounds out the final position on the track at the moment. It's now Charles Leclerc looking to get himself back by Sergio Perez, who took that position away from Charles on the opening lap of the Grand Prix, and that is going to be another position gained for Charles Leclerc. They're back into P6 now. This is George Russell. He's looking to get himself now past Sergio Perez as well. So I wonder if the Red Bull's just looking a little bit slow this weekend. As Max Verstappen yesterday, you remember, in the sprint race, did have a very slow car, finishing outside of the top 5, resulting in losing the World Drivers' Championship. As now the two McLarens are going at it. This is Oscar Piastri. He's trying to get the move done on his teammate Lando Norris, as now there's no championship fight. Oscar Piastri wants to try and take this win away from his teammate. Norris is going to hold on here, but back on board with ourselves here. It's held up Max Verstappen, and now we're going to send a dive bomb here, going into turn 8, which is going to put us nicely into the position now to try and get ourselves past one, or at least both of the McLarens maybe. I feel like I've got excellent pace in this car at the moment. We're in the DRS train. Oscar Piastri is looking to go for a move on Lando Norris once again. He really wants to get this move done. Norris is hung out wide, and we get a really good run, and that's going to put us past both the McLaren. So now we lead the Brazilian Grand Prix here on lap 10 with about 2/3 race distance left to go. As now Max Verstappen here is looking to get himself past Lando Norris here as well. So now the championship's over and Max actually has a working car. This was the battle I was hoping to see yesterday in the race, and I have a really tight championship battle, but unfortunately the car issues got in the way of Max Verstappen being able to complete that. As now Lando Norris is being left vulnerable now to Esteban Ocon because he has no DRS after leading down that front straight. Esteban Ocon does get P4 away from Lando Norris. Norris drops down to P5 after sitting P3 there for a second and back on board with ourselves. Oscar Piastri is looking really racy, and he's going to get himself back past us here, and that is going to be we're going to remain Australia 1-2, but it's going to be Oscar Piastri that now leads the way as Charles Leclerc gets himself past Lando Norris as well. So Lando Norris is falling through this field at a rapid pace here, as now George Russell fancies to get himself past Lando Norris here as well, and that is going to be George Russell now up into P6, but Lando Norris isn't going to make this easy. He still hangs it around the inside, but ultimately George Russell will get the move done and back on board with ourselves here. We've got ourselves a really good run, and so we're going to go around the outside at turn 4 of Oscar Piastri and get the move done to put us back into the lead. And while that was happening, Lando Norris has just lost another position to Sergio Perez, so that puts Lando Norris now down into P8 and on board with ourselves here. It's the end of the lap. We are coming into the pits now to get it all slowed down and put on the hard tyres to try and see if we can gap the difference between the medium tyre and the hard tyre with the AI, and this car being really good on those hard tyres. We get it turned in perfectly. It looks like it's going to be a very good stop here from the boys and girls in the pit lane at 2.2. So absolute brilliant pit stop here to get ourselves hopefully remaining in the lead as we wind our way through this really tight pit lane, and we actually get a bit of understeer there, and we make slight contact with the Armco on the outside, so hopefully that hasn't caused too much damage. But now, they're very poorly timed. We're actually going to come out in this big gap here, a big pack here of cars, and I was trying to tuck back in behind Nico Hülkenberg, but I was afraid that there might have been a slight overlap with Carlos Sainz there, so I decided to just hang there on the inside and sacrifice my line a little bit. So now we send it down the inside of Nico Hülkenberg using these fresh hard tyres to the advantage at turn 8, and just look at how much corner speed I'm able to carry on these fresh tyres, and the exit speed is also unreal. And now we're going to send it down the inside of Liam Lawson at turn 10, so I move at turn 8, move at turn 10. That is us now up 2 positions, and hopefully we can get past Iwasa very quickly here, and we've had to get all the way to the DRS zone before we're able to do that, and now it's a drag race to the line. It's now we pass a few people here going through the pit lane, and it's going to be a little tight here actually with the Red Bull on the exit as we battle Iwasa through turns 1 and 2, but in the end we will get out quite comfortably actually ahead of that Red Bull. As now Oscar Piastri comes into the lane. Is this going to be a pit stop that could retain the race lead for Oscar Piastri and possibly get him another win this season? Our teammates are currently in the pits as well. As now we come across the start-finish line here, the start, lap 17. Oscar Piastri there, he's exiting the pit lane here, and we're currently side by side. He's in the pit lane, we're on the main circuit here, but it looks like we're going to just get out in front of him by only a few tenths in the end. And this is here, Max Verstappen, he's looking to get himself past Carlos Sainz here as well. So Sainz has done well coming from the back of the grid and currently inside the top 5. As now, Oscar Piastri is wasting no time to get himself back in front of us. As now we pass Charles Leclerc, who's in the pit lane. So we both now take the helm at the front of the race here. And Esteban Ocon here has actually got himself past Carlos Sainz. So I wonder if Sainz is going to be trying to extend this gap, this stint as far as he can to try and possibly even go into the soft tyre later on in this stint. He's now under attack from George Russell. So George Russell looking to the inside at turn 4. Carlos Sainz actually defends, so they've both gone really tight into turn 4 there. So they're both going to have a little bit of shocking exit speed here. So we're now going to do a bit of an order check. So it's Oscar Piastri ahead of myself and Max Verstappen. That's the podium at the moment. The 2 Mercedes of Esteban Ocon and George Russell. Then it's 2 Ferraris, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. Sergio Perez, Lando Norris and Felipe Drugovich rounds out the final points paying position at the moment. The 2 Alpines, Pierre Gasly and then Valtteri Bottas, our teammate Alex Albon on P13. Nico Hulkenberg, Yumi Iwaso, Zhou Guanyu, Kevin Magnussen, Stroll on P18. Liam Lawson, the 2 AlphaTauris of Yuki Tsunoda, Nick DeVries and Logan Sargent rounds out the final position on the field at the moment. And then it's Esteban Ocon. He's now looking to get himself past Max Verstappen here. So this is for the final podium position of this Grand Prix. Ocon is still side by side with Max Verstappen as they come up the hill towards turn 6 here. Max Verstappen's going to have the inside, which you would almost think is the preferred line, but it's going to be Ocon able to hold it around the outside to claim P3 from Max Verstappen and get himself up onto the podium. It's now Felipe Drugovich. He locks up and he's absolutely bottled this P9 that he was currently in because Carlos Sainz has come into the pits. And so now this is our teammate Alex Albon. He's looking to take advantage of this mistake that Drugovich has just made and possibly get himself now into the points here with about 11 laps to go of this Grand Prix. He goes around the outside of turn 4. Is he going to be able to get the move done? They're still running side by side as they come up to the hill at turn 6, and Drugovich has got that better straight line speed. They still run side by side. This is brilliant racing at the moment. Now they come down into turn 8 here. Albon down the inside, but he's not able to get the exit speed to be able to get the move done and dusted. So Drugovich is back up the inside at turn 9. Now as they come up to turn 10, surely our teammate Alex Albon can get this move done and dusted. But it looks like with the way he's not moving all the way over, it looks like Felipe Drugovich still has a nose in there, but now he gets the move completed. It's George Russell is looking to get himself past Max Verstappen now, and this is going to put Max Verstappen down the P5. George can get this move done, and he does get the move done. So George Russell up into P4 now. The Mercedes looking very quick as now Charles Leclerc looking to also get himself past Max Verstappen. So the Red Bulls just don't look like they've been having a very good pace around here anymore. They were for a long part of this season. And they're about the 2nd fastest car, and now they're looking to be about the 4th fastest. So it's all unraveling here at the final race of the season, as now we've got 2 laps to go here, and you'll notice we've caught all the way back up to Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri had a lead of nearly 4 seconds, and we've caught it all the way back up very slowly. These hard tyres are coming to life as those mediums start to fade, but unfortunately we've run out of time and we just don't get there in time to claim victory.
That's it then, they've taken the win here as we wrap up another fantastic Formula One season. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure, and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight.
And that there is the final race done of this series. It was unfortunately not a win for ourselves. We came very close to be able to get ourselves a win there, but in the end it was our fellow Australian Oscar Piastri taking the victory and his teammate Lando Norris claiming the World Championship at the end of this round as well. As now we take a look here at the rest of the race standings here. So it was also Ocon who did hold on to the podium there. George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Lando Norris, the world champion, Valtteri Bottas, and our teammate scored some points in the final race of the season. Lando Norris is the world champion by 15 points over his teammate Oscar Piastri. McLaren 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship. Max Verstappen 3rd place, and myself 4th place in the end. And our teammate Alex Albon does make it a top 10 finish for himself in this Drivers' Championship. Is now taking a look at the Constructors. McLaren claimed the World Constructors' Championship for 2 years in a row. Red Bull 2nd place, behind by 82 points. Ferrari claimed 3rd, and Jim's Racing by Brabham, we claim to be honest, a very disappointing 4th position, as we were 207 points behind the McLaren team. So that is that for this series. I hope you enjoyed the series. It's been fun to make, and I will see you. There is going to be a new series, 2 new series actually coming in the new F1 24 game. So yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed it, and I will see you on the new game where we start a new chapter. See you later.